stream title. I'm going to switch over to... Here we go. I'm going to adjust the box for this just a little bit. And we'll reposition it slightly. There we go. Oh, I forgot to change the text. We'll do that real quick. Warning, occasional sauciness. And this is Helltaker Second Circle that we're going into now. Okay, so to catch you folks up on Helltaker Second Circle, last time I thought I was going to finish up the game, but we discovered that a few of the saves from other girls' dates had not carried over, so I couldn't do Lucifer's storyline. Now we can. I also did Beelzebub's first storyline last time, then realized that the second one would require me to go through all the first dates again. So off stream, I've finished those up, and we can do Beelzebub's second date as well. Once we do these two, I think we'll be out of all the content that Helltaker Second Circle currently has. I'm sure they're still working on more updates though, so I'm sure the game will return in the future to my lineup. Of course, making a visual novel takes a very long time. I think they're usually like, these folks are almost 3 months between updates, and that's pretty fast compared to how I foresee mine going. So yeah. I'm definitely well acquainted at this point with the rigors of making a visual novel. Alright, let's get to it. With the other girls attended to, you head upstairs to once more inform Lucifer of your progress. Hey, we got a new dress for Lucy. Pretty. After knocking on her door, you enter her room to find her dressed to the heels in what appears to be a party dress, admiring herself in the mirror. Ah, Taker, I was hoping you'd finish up in time. Why is that? Got a fun-filled evening planned, Lucy? We both do. We're about to go to a business meeting of a sensitive nature, I might add. I've taken the liberty of procuring us a reservation at the Palatial. The Palatial? But that's the fanciest restaurant in the area. Wait lists can stretch for months in advance. How did you manage getting us a reservation on such short notice? Lucifer grins a vulpine grin. Being Queen of Hell has some advantages, even here in the mortal world. One mustn't underestimate the lack of scruples within high society. Just kidding. I had Pandemonica arrange it, and she can be quite convincing when she wants to be. I also took the liberty of procuring you a suit, should you find it on your bed. I expect you to look your best tonight. We are dressing to impress. But he always wears a suit everywhere. Can't he just wear that suit? Maybe it's a black suit to match up. You do as you are bid, and change into the starchy tuxedo you find in your room. Making your way downstairs, you find Lucifer in a hushed conversation. Justice, you're in charge until I get back. The awesome demon looks like she's about to say something, but changes her mind at the last moment. Smiling, she grips Lucifer's shoulder with one gloved hand. She nods, first at Lucifer, then up the stairs at you. Good luck, my friend. I hope tonight bodes well for the two of you. Your drive to the Palatial is uneventful, and your occasional attempts at small talk are not reciprocated by Lucifer, as you wonder what on earth could cause the Queen of Hell to want to impress someone. Arriving at your destination, you toss the keys to a waiting valet before opening Lucifer's door, helping her out onto the sidewalk. Maybe it's just the light, but she looks enchanting in her glittering dress. Clasping hands, the two of you enter the restaurant. The impeccably dressed waiter inclines his head respectfully as you approach his desk. You know, I've been watching too much Curb Your Enthusiasm lately, and so, I'm constantly waiting for this scene to devolve into Helltaker, making a nuisance of himself, with the waiter. Thankfully, I don't think that's likely to happen, but if you watch enough Curb Your Enthusiasm, that's sort of what you expect everything to turn into. Let me test something real quick. Okay. For some reason, I thought the dialogue was not showing up in my chat box, but it looks like it is. Okay. Welcome to the Palatial. I trust Sir and Madam have a reservation. Let's see. Yes. I 1412-15, I believe it was. The waiter makes a show of flipping through a little leather-bound scheduling book. Eventually he stops and peers down his horn-rimmed spectacles at the page entry. Ah yes, one table for a Lucifer Queen. Yes, that's us. Ah, but madame, there appears to be only two of you here. Shall we wait for the third party before accompanying you to your table? Third party? You turn to Lucifer, but her gaze is locked upon the waiter. Her answer is cool, and holds none of the foreboding now gently bearing at the back of your mind. No, our other member has never been one for punctuality. She'll join us when she arrives. Until then, I'd like to enjoy a drink with my companion. The waiter's eye twitches in carefully restrained irritation, but he smiles benignly, picks up two menus, and beckons you forward. This way, if you please. The two of you follow the waiter into the ostentatious depths of the Palatial. The dining area is ornate. Marble pillars hold up a painted ceiling. Soft music played by a live band creates a pleasantly soothing background ambience. The table you're shown to is tucked away from prying eyes, and carved from the same hard stone as the rest of the decor. The two of you take your seats, and Lucifer makes a wine selection before the waiter bows and leaves the two of you alone. Free for the moment of prying ears, you ask Lucifer the obvious question. So, who's this third party you've invited along? I thought we were putting pleasure before business on this date. Oh, we are, trust me. Our guest never arrives on time. As to her identity, I thought it would be best to extend an invitation to our opposition, see if we can't resolve this whole dispute peacefully. You invited the leader of the deposed lords to have dinner with us? What else? I get a romantic evening with my taker, and I get a chance to resolve a burgeoning conflict before it gets any worse. Two birds with one stone, I say. Why bring me along for the meeting, though? I thought you didn't like me snooping into your affairs of office. Ah, now that is a stroke of brilliance on my part, if I do say so myself. See, whatever happens here, there are going to be people in the house who won't, take my word as the gospel truths, shall we say. I assume you know of whom I refer. Mouth dry, you nod your assent. Whatever shall transpire over the course of our meeting, I expect you to faithfully and accurately relate to the rest of the girls to the letter. Am I understood? So why even bring me along as opposed to, say, a tape recorder? Because I enjoy your company. I like that Lucifer smile. It's very cute, and it's an entirely original portrait, too. Not one of the original Van Rippers, but unique to the Second Circle team. They did a good job. Besides, just because we have business to attend to in the near future, it doesn't mean we can't enjoy ourselves in the now. Tell me, how are the girls doing? I've been so caught up in my work, I haven't had any free time for them. Zedrada's doing remarkably well, especially in the light of Belphegor burning her home down. Yes, she's been camping in Cerberus's room, though I can't say I'm a fan of that development. Afraid she'll get Cerberus hooked on smoking? Quite the opposite. The thought of Cerberus's enthusiasm rubbing off on Zedrada presents a far more serious threat than anything the Fallen Lords might think up. Imagine if there were 3 Zedradas. Yes, we'd all be dead from chain smoking. Why, just imagining it gives me chills. Under the table, Lucifer gently nudges you with your leg, and you decide to play along. 3 of Cerberus is bad enough, but adding in a 4th that likes experimenting with recreational drugs? Now that's a recipe for the end of the world right there. I say let a girl dream. Didn't you ever have a wish? Something you wanted to be when you grew up? A blush creeps into your cheeks as unwanted memories come flooding into your mind. This isn't really the time. Why not here? Why not now? Alright, I'll tell you, but you can't laugh. Alright, I promise not to laugh at your silly dreams. I wanted to be an astronaut as a child. Space Taker. Nice. I'm definitely looking forward to that development. Sometime in the future. Dear me, don't tell me you humans are still interested in that barren expanse of nothing. What on earth could have attracted you to such a career? My grandmother used to read me stories of faith, little excerpts from the Bible, teaching moral lessons well suited for the minds of children. Lucifer rolls her eyes at this, but she remains silent. In many of these stories, God speaks to a human from heaven, and at the age that I was, I always assumed heaven was above, in the sky. I wanted to go there, to see the majesty of the heavens, all on my own. Helltaker. I'm still holding out hope for that sequel at some point. Or alt universe, maybe. Maybe not sequel. Well, it seems you ended up traveling in rather the wrong direction for that. And yet, I'd say I still found something worth looking for, if you'll pardon the romanticism. Oh no, do go on. It's been ages since someone adored me. Traveling to hell to find myself a hero will most likely be the de facto experience of my life. A prediction given all the more relevance considering I expect my lifespan to be shortened dramatically by my living with demons. But despite all that, I don't regret a single choice. Knowing you has brought more vibrance into my life than I could have found if I'd lived to be 100. Hey, Osborne. Good to see you. Hope you're having a good evening. We're reading Helltaker right now. Doing the last of the Lucifer days. This pleases me. Tell me more. You always know what you want, and you always plan ahead to keep yourself and others happy. You may not always be forthcoming with sensitive topics, but I've never once suspected malice to be the reason behind it. You're training. What are you training for? I'd be interested to know. I've been having a pretty productive day myself, to be honest. I love the way you curl your hair around your horns, and I love how you polish your crown each night before you go to sleep. I love how you care about the other girls, even if they can't always see it. Your confidence and tenacity befits a queen, and I know that if I or any of the others were ever in trouble, you'd do all that you could to help us. Why, Taker, I'm touched. I haven't had praise that genuine in over 600 years. I think you deserve a reward. The truth. I'll see. Now I'm worried. But interested. The truth. Yes, you may ask of me one question, and one question only. I will do my best to see it answered truthfully. That's an interesting choice there. But I think the first one, I think the implications of that one is more interesting, because we've been wondering about Cerberus's past. What are you keeping from Cerberus? She was only a fledgling demon at the time. One of the 4 Sathanas, I believe, snatched her out of the ether before she was fully formed. They kept her around as a sort of pet, and she imprinted upon them like most demons do upon vices and sins. When we cast them down, Cerberus's mental state was broken. She relapsed into an empty slate, incapable of independent thought or movement. Hard to believe, she's so energetic now. Lucifer turns away, a flush staining her cheeks as red as the wine in her glass. Well, we couldn't leave her like that. She had no purpose, so I decided to give her one. With the 4 lords cast out, we needed someone to guard against their return. We stuffed her full of the remnants of the power Justice and I tore from the 4. You tried to give her a purpose by force. It was that, or leave her in a vegetative state. I didn't know. I couldn't have. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Anger flares in your chest. 2 birds with 1 stone, right? You didn't see her. Removing the only family she had ever known stripped something irreplaceable away from her. But I realize now the error of my ways. I shouldn't have tried to force something into the new vacancy. You never try to force it? No. You understand you can't tell her about this, right? Whatever happens, she must keep seeking out her own happiness. If she learns about her past, she'll give up the search for self-actualization. And I will have to come to terms with what I've created. Alright, I promise. For now, at least. Lucifer takes your hand in hers, squeezing them firmly. It's good to know that I have your confidence. You know full well you have more than that. Oh my, Taker. So forward. Run out of roundabouts already, have you? Lucifer gently tugs on your fingers, pulling you towards him. The candlelight flickers in her eyes, reflecting something strange you haven't seen there before. Happiness. Regret. Might as well enjoy ourselves here, while we can. Wouldn't you agree? You nod, and she smiles. Leaning forward, she tilts her head, her lips set on an unmistakable target. Your own. You close your eyes, leaning into the approaching kiss. Lucifer's free hand cups the back of your head, softly guiding your lips towards hers. You feel her hot breath on your mouth, and part your lips to meet hers. You're gonna make me barf, usurper. How about you put your newest boy toy down and greet your nemesis like a proper lady? To be honest, I don't know what voice I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not sure who's approaching. Lucifer's mouth is perhaps a quarter of an inch from your own when she turns towards the newcomer. Well, actually, we haven't seen this one before. We've seen her only on a poster before, and we know that she's some sort of, like, underground rocker. The interrupter is a woman, and unmistakably demonic in origin. If the shock of white hair that seems to explode from her skull isn't enough of a giveaway, her crimson eyes and curved ivory horns complete the picture. Unlike the other demons you've encountered so far, this demon's fashion sense appears to have been sourced from a local mosh pit. She stands half a head taller than most demons, a feature only enhanced by tattered combat boots laced up her calves. Wowza. We've got tall combat boots demon. A worthy addition to the harem, although I don't think that, so I was reading a little bit of the commentary from the team that did this, and I think they sort of said that you're never going to be able to date the 4 extra demons that are in this game, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe something for a future project? Mm-hmm. If you're listening, team Helltaker Second Circle. Her outfit is a disjointed mess of fishnets and leather. A slim guitar is hung over one of her shoulders, and from the dents covering the surface, you can tell it's been well used. Ah, Sylvanas, I see you're merely fashionably late, as opposed to insultingly. I wasn't expecting you to arrive so promptly. Unlike you, I'm single-minded in my obsessions. Grunting, the demon slings her guitar over the back of the chair before taking her seat. I'm gonna have to turn down the music just a little bit. It seems like it's kind of blaring a bit. Give me 1 second. Okay, that should make it a little bit better. I felt like I was sort of having to yell over the music a little bit. That's just my setup's fault, not the game. Leaning back in the chair, she places her tattered combat boots up on the ivory tablecloth, the gesture one of contempt and disregard. Very ritzy, this place. It ill suits a pretender such as you. I do hope it's not indicative of what you've done to my castle in hell. Undeterred by the open hostility demonstrated by the new demon, Lucifer maintains her polite tone of voice. You look positively famished, practically wasting away. Can I order you something to eat? No, thank you. Vipers like you deliver their venom through feasts as easily as they do through fangs. Quit dodging the topic at hand, usurper. We're here to strike a deal, nothing more. Lucifer smiles a lipless smile, and gestures the attendant waiter to find someone else to bother. To business, then. Despite the somewhat esoteric nature of the ultimatum your henchwoman delivered my servant here, I believe I have what it is you seek. Oh, you have you? She looks like she's fire elemental, in something of the same manner that Zedrata looks fire elemental. They both, actually, she kind of has a couple of similarities to Zedrata. I wonder if that's just a coincidence. Lucifer inclines her head. I've reached my decision. If it is all you desire, I'm prepared to make an exchange. You agree to let my subjects go unmolested on this plane, and in exchange, I will forfeit my life to you. What? Lucifer, no! You can't do this. Under the table, Lucifer squeezes your thigh reassuringly. However, she does not break eye contact, with the demon sitting across the table. That's what you're here for, isn't it? Sylvanas the Wrathful. You want revenge for me deposing you all those years ago, don't you? Oh, trust me. I'd love to rip that pretty little head right off your shoulders, but your pride betrays you once more, usurper. I don't want your life. I want to take back what's mine. Lucifer's brows raise a fraction of an inch before furrowing again. Sylvanas' proclamation has evidently caught her off guard. Picking up her glass of wine, she idly sips it while pondering the reprobate demon across the table. Have your years in exile addled your mind, Sylvanas? I'm offering you my head and the throne along with it. I doubt anyone in my household has a mind to challenge your claim. Sylvanas laughs, a husky, spiteful chuckle that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You really don't get it, do you? Oh, what am I thinking? Of course you don't. You were always so big picture, you never learned to notice the little things. Sylvanas gestures towards you with a black-nailed hand. Take this human, for example. You've gone so long without acknowledging your mutual feelings, the tension is practically boiling off you. Now, I'll take this moment to point out, I was just about to get a smooch before I got, blocked here by Sylvanas. So, I think things were progressing just nicely before you got involved. That's irrelevant. Get to the point already, Sylvanas, before I lose my patience completely. Heh, alright then. I want something back that was at the time freely given. And while I know it's in such bad taste to take back a gift, I find myself rather unable to live without it. Sylvanas stands up as she leans across the table, embers dribbling from her mouth as she delivers her demands. I want my horn back, usurper, nothing more. Lucifer's mouth twists, setting into a firm, lipless line. Why, dear Sylvanas, I haven't the slightest idea what that thing is. Last time I saw it, you'd broken it off yourself in a last-ditch effort to hurt me. Sylvanas throws back her head and roars with laughter. A tongue of flames shoots out from between her teeth, illuminating the alcove with a sickly orange glare. Ha! And didn't I succeed in that little venture? But don't play dumb, usurper. We both know exactly where I left my horn, and how I get it back. The stem of the wine glass shatters, crushed into powder by Lucifer's grip. The bowl, still half filled with red liquid, falls to the ground, shattering across the polished wooden floor of the restaurant. Almost at once, an attendant trots out from the wings of the kitchen, mop and rag poised to clean up the mess. However, at a scathing look from both women sitting at the table, the attendant wisely beats a hasty retreat back out of sight. When it finally comes, Lucifer's reply is as cold and unyielding as iron. I was prepared to offer you my own life, if it meant those close to me could live in peace. But it appears that once again, you wish to exact a toll upon me that is too costly to pay, and I will never, never forgive you for the things you've done. You would take the same life twice, and ask me to do it with my own hands? And all for what? A chance to at a return of your shattered power? You know as well as I do what happens to a demon if their horns are damaged. What? Wait, what happens to a demon if their horns are damaged? This sounds important for me. I think I better pay close attention to this next part. You're a ticking time bomb, and you know it. There's nothing you can do to stop the inevitable. Sylvana smirks, her filed teeth glittering in the candlelight. Well, it's a good thing you exile the underworld's layman along with me then, isn't it? Sylvana snaps her fingers, the sound echoing off the marble columns that pepper the inside of the palatial. Once more, a waiter appears, only this time it isn't the short, well-dressed man who showed you to your table. The new waiter is dressed in a baggy, ill-fitting outfit, almost a parody of the trim tuxedos worn by the rest of the staff, and familiar eyes peer out at you from an exhaustion-worn face. Abby, you shouldn't be here. Things could get messy. With one hand, Abby reaches up to her head, grasps her hair, and pulls. The short wig is removed, freeing a cascade of milky white hair to drift across her face. Without the hat on, 2 white horns are visible poking through her hair. She's got a very simple hairstyle compared to the other ones. However, either she has a snake on her shoulders or her hair is also a snake. I'll be interested to learn which. You're a demon. Lucifer narrows her eyes at Abby, and her scowl deepens. Abaddon. When the other girls mentioned an omnipresent, job-hopping slob, I had my suspicions. But I never imagined you'd be roped into working for her. You were always the most independent of the 4. I always respected that about you. Tell me, how does it feel to sell out to this short-sighted berserker? Can't complain. Well, I would, but creative thought positively exhausts me. Abaddon here is surprisingly good at mortal jobs. She's been the one keeping us fed and clothed this whole time. And that's not all she's picked up. Oh, yeah. I assisted a mortal physician for a time, long enough to pick up a thing or two about surgery. I'm pretty sure it's possible to reattach her horn, as long as I'm careful with it. Be that as it may, my answer remains the same. I showed you mercy once before. Rest assured, I will not be making the same mistake again. Very well. If you'll not give it to me willingly, you leave me, us, with no choice. Sylvanas extends one clawed hand to point a damning finger at Lucifer. O Queen, O Liege, there shall be no peace between us. There is nowhere you can run, and nowhere you can hide to escape the unchecked wrath of Sylvanas. Nothing short of heart's blood shall sway me from my unholy cause. Consider this the end to our first and last negotiation. Reaching up behind her, Sylvana swings her guitar over her head and onto the table at meteoric speeds. Flash of light and a deafening crack send you reeling, and even behind your trademark sunglasses, you feel your retinas smolder. When you regain your vision, you see the stone table has been riven in two by the force of the blow. Sylvanas and Abaddon are gone, disappeared during the light show. Looks like time's done nothing to soften her temper, nor her fondness for melodrama. She always had a flair for the overdramatic. Looks like we'll have to put off dinner for now. I'm sure the rest of the girls will want to hear about this. And I can think of at least one I need to have a serious talk with. Okay, I think we're through with the dates for now. There's of course more coming, but that's as far as it goes. But we'll read this little after message first. Hey guys, I just wanted to say thanks for playing our game. It means a lot to all of us. Writing by Owen Nagler and Morgan Day. CGs and sprites were drawn by Dana O'Hara. Character animations were created by Void.exe and Lay_Rico. Programming done by Raymat. Inspiration for sprite work by Kiovera, Team Zoella, and Rue. Inspiration for some scenes provided by Amadeus Films. Most music used was created by Mitzi's on YouTube, although some was taken from royalty-free sites. Sound effects were taken from YouTube's creator library. The title screen art was created by LitRizCon, or Lay Rico on Twitter. Helltaker House redesign created by UCE. Various backgrounds commissioned and created by Fuyu Nokawa and Kuan Diao. Placeholder backgrounds created by and compiled by Minical on DL site. Backgrounds used are subject to change. Once again, thank you guys for playing the game, and be sure to leave us feedback on how we did with this demo. Well, I'd say they were doing quite well. I especially like that last scene because we got a lot of action there, which is always welcome for me at least. And we got a good look at the new characters as well. Some nice new demon designs. I'm a fan of both of them. And Lucifer's dress was also quite nice, as well as the original sprites. But we're not quite done with Helltaker Second Circle yet, because as I mentioned, I do have another Beelzebub update to do as well. And we'll go ahead and knock that out. I think it will probably be about 2 hours in by the time we're finished. But then I'll take another break after that, and we'll do some Danganronpa Rocky restarts after that. Okay, so to explain what happened, the Beelzebub dates are pretty well hidden, by which I mean good luck finding them if you don't read a guide. There's the first date. You kind of have to hit it before the story even gets rolling. When Lucifer is telling you to clean out the fridge, you can click that you'll do it, and then click the flies that are on the fridge, and that will take you into the Beelzebub storyline. Similarly, after you've finished all of the first dates, when you're in this sort of transition type scene, before your second date with Lucifer, you will have the option to click on this dresser here, again, for a very brief moment. It's very hard to catch. When you do, it starts the secondary path, which I have not started into yet, but we'll read it together. I'm going to take just a little bit more water. And then we'll get going. Maybe it'll be an opportunity to dazzle Lucifer with that brand new leather Hawaiian polo shirt you bought last week. Leather Hawaiian polo shirt. What does that look like? The leather part's kind of throwing me off a little bit. Let's dazzle. You open your wardrobe and freeze in place. Where earlier that day had hung your carefully varnished polo shirt, now floats a spinning purple portal. My shirt! Oh no. You know what? I think my hotkeys for VTube Studio are not working. I wonder why that is. Oh well. I don't have anything particularly important to do with them right now anyway. Your prized sock collection, also purple portal. All of your wardrobe, in fact, was spinning purple portal. This is not how you pictured this morning going. A skeletal hand extrudes from the portal and accompanied a familiar polite voice. I'm terribly sorry for the inconvenience, sir, but my Lady of Red requests your immediate presence. To catch everyone up, that's the skeletal butler of Beelzebub. With a surprising strength that belies its ragged appearance, the hand clamps down upon your wrist. Before you can so much as voice your protest, you're pulled bodily into the wardrobe. You brace yourself for the inevitable wave of nausea as your body spins through dimensions. As the world begins to consolidate around you, you notice a figure standing directly in front of you. Looming over your face, shrouded in shadow, is Beelzebub. Do you have any idea how long it's been since you last visited me? As much as I appreciate the attention, you can't go around abducting people whenever you feel lonely. You are wrong on 2 accounts, I'm afraid. Firstly, it was technically Walter who did the abducting. Secondly, I didn't have you delivered to me out of loneliness. I require your counsel on a rather personal matter. And what might that be? Construction. Come again? Seeing as construction is the only worthwhile activity to pursue in this bloody place, I've spent the past several hundred years building myself the castle within which you stand. Were you a great builder back in hell? No, but I decided it couldn't possibly be that hard if they let common folk do it. A Minecraft gamer, yeah. I guess that's all she has time to do down here in the abyss, right? Is game. But is that really a punishment at all, I ask you? Well, that certainly explains why the layout of the castle could graciously be described as a spaghetti nightmare. However, I've run into a singularly irksome problem. After a millennia of solitude, even my prodigious reserves of artistic expression have begun to run dangerously low. I could swear my aesthetic designs are becoming almost pedestrian by nature. Perish the thought, but I don't see what that has to do with. And so I, genius that I am, have decided to source my inspiration from elsewhere. Tell me, Taker, what do you know about architecture? Nowhere near enough to call myself anything but a hobbyist. And what I do know, it drifted out of fashion 6 to 7 years ago. How much do you know about castles and fortifications, then? Only enough to name and describe key features in aesthetics. Oh man, I can see this date breaking down in front of us. He didn't properly study castle Gothic architecture. That's a deal breaker on any date. This guy should have known that. Some master of demons. Yeah, classic mistake. A classic blunder. What a faux pas. Beelzebub rubs her chin thoughtfully. I suppose that ought to suffice. I'm not concerned with structural integrity as is. Follow me, if you would. Yeah, what would you do if your date didn't know anything about Gothic architecture, huh? You'd be right out of there, I imagine. Your path this time takes you upward. Uncountable spiraling staircases, impossibly sloped hallways, and the occasional convenient ladder become achingly familiar sights as you travel upward for what seems like an eternity. Eventually, the two of you emerge into open, for want of a better word, air. To your right, the endless expanse of Beelzebub's fortress stretches ever upwards, disappearing out of sight in the uniform blackness that dominates the environment. Stretched out before you is an expanse of the same smooth-formed obsidian that makes up everything else in the castle. Here is our canvas, and I suppose we'll be needing some paints as well. Luckily, we bought plenty of those during the Justice round. But I doubt she means conventional paint. Stand behind me, please. Beelzebub frowns in concentration, extending a clawed hand into empty space. Threads of darkness, spun from the very fabric of the void, begin to coalesce in front of her. Beelzebub clenches her fist, and the threads become a stream, then a river, then a deluge. The inky darkness thunders down upon the ramparts, freely flowing off the bare edge of the platform and into the undiscerning chasm below. Eventually, the stream dissipates, leaving behind a small mountain of rubble. Beelzebub flicks her wrist, and an enormous shard of rock levitates towards the two of you. The boulder, 6 or 7 meters in diameter, holds before you and floats gently in midair. I think Helltaker is going to have to be the marble, or learn to. This rock is a consolidated matter distilled from the void itself. It responds favorably to mental suggestion, and has proven to be a more than adequate, if disappointingly monochromatic, building material for my castle. So tell me, what shall we build with it? Well, we appear to be on a rampart. Why don't we make a crenellated wall? Crenellated walls add a certain panache to any fortress. Besides, that bare edge is rather disconcerting. Trust me, you do not want to fall into the primordial abyss, unless an eternity of falling in pitch darkness sounds fun to you. Only slightly less than my average everyday responsibilities. Beelzebub chuckles, stepping behind you. She drapes her arms over your shoulders, leaning into you as she instructs you in the ways of magic. Yeah, just make a crenellated wall, 5-hand. I'm sure we can do it. All we need is a YouTube video that describes how to do. Focus. Picture in your mind what form you wish the rock to take. Let it flow into place alongside its brethren. Remember, your only purpose is to guide the stone. I'm the one doing the heavy lifting here. Exactly. I'm sure that YouTube still exists in the abyss. She probably gets a connection. What else would she do all day? You focus on the floating boulder, trying to imagine it moving to your left, towards the edge of the rampart. With an almighty rushing swoosh, the obsidian boulder violently hurtles off the rampart and is swallowed up by the cloying darkness surrounding the castle. Though you listen for a moment, no sound of the rock impacting ground reaches your ears. You turn back to Beelzebub, who passes her handkerchief across a slightly sweaty brow. Why don't you try that again? A little gentler this time. I'm far too old to be flinging rocks around like that willy-nilly. Sorry, I'll try again. This time around, you're a bit more careful with your mind's eye. Rather than giving the rock directional commands, you imagine it moving to places in space. With a little practice, you realize you can also influence the shape of the rock, sanding down rough edges and dividing the boulder into more manageable pieces. Carefully, you place the first bit of stonework onto the edge of the rampart. Well done. I have a couple of critiques about your technique, but that was very good for a second attempt. With Beelzebub giving advice, you are eventually able to refine your technique, telekinetically shaping slabs of rock before placing them into the checkered wall of the parapet. The work, though entirely mental, is more strenuous than you would have thought, and soon enough you find yourself wishing for a respite. As if sensing your desires, Walter emerges from the darkness, bearing a flawless china teapot and matching cups with a glossy black platter. Tea for Sir and Milady? Ah, perfect timing, as always, I see. Oh ho ho, you flatter me, Milady. Might I inquire as to how the renovations are proceeding? Splendidly. Taker has proved surprisingly knowledgeable with regards to castle architecture. I keep telling you, it's really just a hobby. This parapet might not even be stable. I'd advise against... Poppycock, I'm sure you're doing an excellent job. Besides, this castle is held together by the force of my will, and I hardly think that's going anywhere after all these years. Sitting down on the freshly crenellated wall, the two of you take tea. Also, if anybody thinks that my Beelzebub voice and my Lucifer voice are the same voice, no. It's not that I knew that they would never be in a scene together and just gave themselves the same voice. They're entirely different. Generate a cover story, huh? For this time, we'll have you disguise yourself as a skeletal waiter inside Beelzebub's castle. I'm sure that nothing confusing will happen as the two of you serve Beelzebub. Nothing out of place. Perfect disguise. I think it'll work flawlessly. And the waiter costume will suit you well. It's not the same voice. There you go. That's what I like to hear. I was trying to do it like a little bit, what was it, faster and less, prissy, but I think I'm kind of doing it the same way. They sound the same to me. Sitting down on the freshly crenellated wall, the two of you take tea. Waiting to remove the dishes, when you are done, Walter occupies himself examining the fresh stonework with a small brass magnifying glass. The two of you drink your tea, glad of a reprieve from your labor. Presently, a question springs to your mind. I think I'm more interested in why Beelzebub is building the castle than how Walter got this tea. The void isn't exactly crowded. Why go to all the trouble of building a fortress? Tell me, Taker, who am I? Beelzebub. And... Archfiend of Lies? And... You struggle to remember the many titles Beelzebub seems to adore anointing herself with. The Queen Crimson, the Scarlet Sovereign, the Rose Regent. You're just making them up now. Do go on, though. I haven't had someone sing my virtues in ages. That's it. I'm out of titles. Illuminate me. Beelzebub takes a lengthy draught of her tea before responding. During my time in hell, I was among the mightiest demons, embodying one of the worst sins of mankind. I was known as Beelzebub the Envious. Do you know the difference between envy and greed, mortal? One wants money, the other status? Close, but not exactly correct. Man, Helltaker's really striking out on this date, huh? He doesn't know his 7 deadly sins apart either. Sheesh. He'll be lucky if he gets a 3rd date at this rate. Greed is an all-consuming hunger for the treasures of the world. It rarely, if ever, cares about what it has acquired in its relentless, short-sighted quest for more. Envy is far more discerning in its pursuit and acquisition. Envy cannot exist without a partner to play against, and once upon a time, I played against the 4 greatest demons in hell. That was a long time ago, of course, but I still remember the grand cathedral of hell, opulent and imperial. Truly a symbol of one's ingenuity and power, there was nothing more I coveted in all of hell than to sit upon one of the ebony thrones as regent of the damned. Beelzebub stares into the distance, swirling the remaining tea around in her cup. This was back when Lucy and I were still on speaking terms, before that damnable high prosecutor threw me in here. But back to the topic at hand. Having no partner to strive against in here, I've taken it upon myself to construct a castle far exceeding my own memory of the Cathedral of Hell. If I've nothing but eternity to spend here, then I shall spend it building a monument to my greatness to dwarf anything Lucy's subjects could build for her. This reminds me of a certain story of a person called Ozymandias. I see. I'm honored that you trust me enough to help with building it. Reinvigorated by tea and conversation, the two of you make record time arranging the rest of the rock, and soon enough, the crenellated wall is near completed. With a final exertion of will, the last block of obsidian materials slides into place, completing the work upon the castle rampart. Beelzebub wipes her brow with a handkerchief. Ugh, I'm not used to that much heavy lifting, and you tell me mortals build these without the aid of magic. Well, we had a lot of time on our hands, when we weren't dying in the thousands to plagues, that is. Before you ask, I'm not apologizing for those. Humanity had it coming. You're not quite sure if she's joking or not, and hide your uncertainty by walking over to examine your work. Remarkable. And this is how you've built this entire palace? Give or take, the tentacles took considerably more effort to tame than the rock itself, but I think I'll be making headway with them in another millennia or so. It must have taken an eternity. How long have you been here on this custom Minecraft server, Beelzebub? Time flows differently here, slower than it does in your world, or hell for that matter. I've stopped counting over the years, but I expect it's been at least 6 centuries in your time. Her voice becomes softer as her gaze becomes distant. But, in terms of time passing here, I think you're the first living being I've seen in at least 500,000 years. You turn your back to the Blackstone Rampart, leaning against it as you ask a question that's been nagging at you since you first stepped foot in the abyss. Beel, you have to tell me, what on earth did you do to get yourself? A crack of stone, made all the louder by the absence of ambient sound permeating the abyss, echoes across the rampart. Almost immediately, you find yourself pitching backwards, the large stone against which you've braced yourself crumbling away into black nothingness beneath. Although you windmill your arms, you're unable to right yourself in time, and you topple off the edge of the castle. Reaching up, you're just barely able to grab the edge of the battlement, your fingers scrabbling for purchase against stone once packed solidly together. Taker, hold on, I'm coming for you. Beelzebub leaps for your hand, but before she can cross the distance between you, your grip gives out, and you plummet head over heels into the inky blackness of the void. Air rushes past you, or perhaps you rush past it as you fall, and you narrowly miss caving your head in on a rocky outcropping jutting from the castle wall. Yeah, this is getting dangerous. Who knew that hell and the abyss even further from hell could be so dangerous? Flailing around, you try to catch onto something, anything, to slow your dive, but grabbing at the walls of Beelzebub's castle only nets you a hand scraped raw by the rough-hewn slabs of the black fortress. Far above you, a crimson light blazes, and an immense crack of displaced air echoes in the dimness. As you continue to fall, you can barely make out something huge and ungainly falling towards you at an alarming speed. A blast of fetid air and a deafening drone heralds your rescue. You feel massive, chidon-plated fingers close around your midsection, gradually halting your descent. Knowing full well what you'll see, you look up at your rescuer. A massive fly, bloated and warped by demonic influence, carries you aloft, churning the air with time-tattered wings. Meeting your gaze with one of its multifaceted eyes, the creature splits its dripping mandibles into a rough approximation of a smile. It speaks, its voice comprised of 1,000 buzzing insects. Call to you. As the two of you circle around the ramparts, you notice Beelzebub is breathing heavily, her wings barely able to keep the two of you suspended. As her wings beat slower and slower, the angle of descent towards the parapet shifts from concerning to alarming. Hold on to something. This landing will be tough. Give me a second. I'm gonna check something. I had a... I've been meaning to get into sweat for a while now. It seems appropriate. You wind your hand into the mane of snowy hair surrounding Beelzebub's neck and hold on for dear life as she awkwardly crashes back down onto the parapet. The great mass of her fly form plows up a furrow in the stone, but you are, for the most part, unharmed. As you slide off the groaning Beelzebub, the great fly grows scarlet. The aged flesh twists and buckles, compacting in on itself until it resolves back into the form of the white-haired demon. Beelzebub coughs once, and then opens her eyes. Let's not do that again, Hi. I'd prefer to keep my demonic visage intact. Thank you very much. As you help her to her feet, you can't help but satiate your curiosity. Visage? Do you mean the fly form? Beelzebub nods shakily as she gets to her feet. The visage phenomenon occurs when the raw power of a demon exceeds the capacity of their original body. This causes a chain reaction within the body of the demon in question, causing them to violently shift into forms better suited to their newfound strength. While we can with time learn to return to our original forms, our horns remain white, forever a mark of our status and power. Now this has me wondering, I wonder which all demons have white horns. It feels like it would be interesting to look back and see which have black and which have white. Beelzebub brushes her hair back, highlighting her own ivory horns. While we are at our strongest when we take these forms, we are also at our most vulnerable. The visage is our power incarnate, and should it take damage, we would permanently lose a portion of that power. Give me an example. Very well. Losing a finger, or even an arm of my current form, would only be an inconvenience, and one quickly remedied at that. But if the same injury were to be inflicted upon my visage, my powers would be appropriately crippled, until I was able to return the missing piece. What if your visage was destroyed? What would happen then? I suppose I'd be reduced to an almost human status. Still immortal, of course, but fully unable to work all but the most basic of magic. Beelzebub gives you a quizzical look. You're awfully full of questions for someone who almost died a moment ago. I've had too many close shaves to be troubled. I knew I was in good hands. Oh, you flatter me. Yes, but unfortunately, you can't distract me. Distract you? Why, whatever do you mean? That wall crumbling was too much of a coincidence, and I think we both know that it broke to serve a purpose, Beal. You broke it trying to dodge my original question. Beelzebub turns to you, all traces of fatigue gone. Oh, was I now? And what question might that be? Beelzebub, why were you exiled here? Really? Beelzebub visibly deflates and lets out a sigh before answering. I'll cut you a deal, Taker. If you want that particular piece of knowledge from me, you'll have to give something of equal value in exchange. Knowledge is power, and I'm not about to let you walk away with this much of it without paying some kind of toll. What would you like to know? I want to know if there's a way to escape, Taker. If somewhere, somehow, a way for me to escape this dimension exists. I don't know. I know you don't. But I know that you live with someone who does. The person who ordered me put me in this pit to begin with. You want an answer to your question. First, you'll find me an answer to mine. Do we have a deal? Oh, so there was that question about the how to escape the abyss. I'll bet if you're doing the Beelzebub route for part 3, you'll probably have to find that answer to go on. Maybe. Who knows? Yes, I'll do my best to find your peace of mind. And I'll grant you yours in exchange. Well, time's ticking, Taker. You ought to be returned to your own dimension before anyone notices you're gone. Making a complex gesture, Beelzebub conjures the one-way portal around you, and your vision is once more obscured by obscured by purple smog. When the smoke recedes, you find yourself in total darkness. Worse still, you seem to be enclosed inside a very small space, with barely enough room to move your arms. You're beginning to worry when the door to your closet gives way, spilling you and your sock collection across the floor of your room. Rubbing your head, you look around at the room, eyes settling on a piece of parchment pinned to your door. Picking it up, you immediately recognize Lucifer's erudite, precise handwriting. Taker, I found myself rather overwhelmed with work at late, and have decided to spend some time working through my backlog. It's unlikely I'll have time to engage in any sort of prenuptial activity over the next couple of days. That being said, the others seem to be enjoying themselves, so keep up the good work. Lucifer. You make your way downstairs, Lucifer's choice of words weighing slightly on your mind. Keep up the good work. I wonder if she means... And there you have it. That's all of Helltaker Second Circle that is out so far. We're going to go ahead and save it up once more. Alrighty. I hope you all have enjoyed my ride through the first 2 major updates of Helltaker Second Circle. We got all the first dates, all the second dates, and now all of the Beelzebub updates as well. Thank you. Alright, well, at this point, I'm going to take another break. I need to refill my water. It's been almost 2 hours now, not quite. And when I come back, I'm going to resume Danganronpa V4 Rocky Restarts. I'd say we're still not really into spoiler territory there, so if you're coming into it fresh, you should be okay. I know that this current build of it extends through at least one trial, so I'm really eager to get to that. I'm not sure if we'll get to it today, though. For now, I'm going to put up the BRB screen. Grab yourself a snack if you need to, and I will be back shortly.